Hello there and welcome to my reaction to Red Dead Redemption 2 is an absolute nightmare remaster, and this is why. I thought this was a uh, video released for the first time. Maybe it was, maybe it's like, I have no idea. The original is probably deleted, so I won't be able to find it. I didn't try. But it's been like a month since I played Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time, so I feel like this is an appropriate video for me to watch. Uh, so even if it was an old video, I'm glad I didn't watch it because I wasn't spoiled on much when I played the game for the first time. This again, or like a month ago, and I I don't know if this is new, this is perfect timing. If it's not, it's not. I can't do anything about it. But I'm back to Up Is Not Jump's channel. Well, I'm still waiting for more Fallout videos, but I guess they're gonna take a while. I don't know why. I don't know why. No matter. Like, I'm sorry. God damn it. Like, comment, subscribe, become member, and let's begin. I can't speak.
Hello, so when I originally uploaded this video, it was all fuzzy for some reason, but now it's in 1080p. I've also color corrected a load of the scenes, because I didn't used to do that, and I've removed any copyright music, so the video is
So
now
maybe,
monetized.
so it is old, huh?
Anyway, it's all fixed now, so enjoy.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is about a man named Arthur with the ability to skin any animal alive in the space of about 3 seconds. Good lord, Arthur! I mean,
Yeah.
skinning a rabbit for him is like doing that fucking tablecloth trick. Alley up! Alley up! Actually, let's quickly talk about a previous Rockstar game. Back in 2013, Rockstar Games released GTA 5, a game about 3 psychopaths murdering their fellow Americans. The game was majoritively overseen in Scotland and left us all wondering, is this really what the game industry is turning into? Now, I know what you're thinking, but I've got these now. You ain't going anywhere. If you like GTA 5, that's fine, honestly. I just happen to think these games are a systematic symptom of the ongoing destruction of mainstream media, conditioning us into becoming brain-dead morons incapable of independent thought.
Jeez.
What was it?
Conditioning us into becoming brain-dead morons incapable of independent thought.
That's from one mission early on. Yeah. So partially it's a tutorial with the buttons, and then that's just a map that you put twice. It's not like at the same time, the same screen. I don't know what the problem is that.
Jeez.
I'm mostly okay with it.
To pick up cheese, press square for 2 seconds, then hold left until your inventory opens, then click on cheese to eat it. Cheese will increase your health, stamina, intellect, run speed, block, piloting ability, drunkenness.
I'm gonna leave.
Not before this cutscene. Cheese is made from milk. The type of coagulant used depends on the cheese desired. For acid cheese is an acidic source such as acetic acid.
To be a bit more transparent about what I mean, here is a summary of a typical mission in a larger AAA game. Mission starts, watch cutscene, go to place, follow path there in car for 2 minutes, press square to climb, walk for 2 minutes, go to specific points on map one by one, watch cutscene, kill fellow sentient human beings, you have health in this game, get on bike, go to specific point on map, increase driving skill. But driving skill
Again,
makes you better at driving.
like
Watch
90% of the
cutscene
screen
mission. Now,
is
you
still
can argue that
gameplay.
These new big games aren't all about the gameplay. They're a product of some of the most talented game designers in the world, striving to push the technological and narrative elements of gaming as a whole. Yeah, if you put it like that.
I think AAA games, at least what I like to believe, are about everything. Pushing the narrative, maybe
Red Dead 2
graphics,
ultimately continues this
which I don't
slowly
really care about,
restrictive mission
but
design
narrative
from
is
previous
very
Rockstar
interesting to see
games.
evolve. I mean, it's a mission. You can't argue that when the game is open world, both GTA 5, well, any GTA really, and then Red Dead Redemption 2, they're open world. Don't do, if you want like a freedom of, I don't know, exploration, of freedom of doing whatever you want, don't do the mission. Chill out, run around, skin some defenseless animals. I don't know. And again, in Red Dead, you can skin in GTA, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so.
But before I get into things, I just want to say I do like this game. I highly recommend it.
Wait a minute, I better get dressed quickly.
Oh, you know what? This is way too hard.
All
The
things
gayest
I say in
cowboy
this
in the
video
West.
aside, it is a landmark on what is technologically possible within video games, and it has an Into the Spider-Verse level of visual creativity. Whatever that movie was. Oh my god, it's so good! It's so good! Car Horse 2 begins quite slowly, as is the pattern for Rockstar games.
Hey,
Like
I'm glad
GTA
the
4, I've
horse.
heard mixed things about this beginning, as it takes 5 or so hours before you're free to explore the map. But
Yeah,
rather
the
than
intro
driving
was
your
quite
cousin to
long.
the fucking grocers for 3 hours.
You're driving us to a hardware store on Dillon Street.
I feel this opening actually captures the spirit of an old movie and properly introduces us to the dynamic of Arthur's gang.
The whole game is kind of like an old
Arthur
movie.
actually feels like a well-rounded
A
character if you
Western,
choose to play up to
obviously.
his level of humility shown in the cutscenes. Not like Michael from GTA 5 who plays like Michael Bluth Don fucking Tony Montana.
You fucking motherfucker! Say hello to my little friend!
This
Arthur
is
convincingly views
one of the reasons I dislike GTA 5. Like, I like the game overall, but one of the things I don't like about it is that it has 3 main characters, and I feel like having one character like in Red Dead, they get more fleshed out, you kind of feel more for them instead of just jumping around. You do the mission, now this character has nothing to do, okay, I'll switch to the different character, they have something to do, and you don't have much of an emotional connection to any of them.
a cynical dual
by the
morality and justifies his actions as necessities to keep himself and those around him safe until I'm
Especially with Red Dead, where there's like a karma thing where you can kind of go become somewhat of a hero or somewhat of a villain, and in GTA is just like, alright, cool. I guess I exist now to just follow whatever it is. You literally walked into the upcoming train. You see, this goes immediately against, like, a lot of, like,
early on with
talk
the
to this
confines
guy,
of the
do
story,
this
it all works
thing,
very well.
think he
Until, of
was
course,
in
we reach the inevitable
it, like, by
jailbreak
the
mission where
beginning.
Arthur murders an entire town filled with innocent people. Oh dear. Honestly, it's fucking bananas. I do what I gotta do to survive. But this person doesn't have a face anymore. In this
This
mission,
video
this
might have
town
come
is
out
1,000,000% justified
when
in
the
trying
game
to
wasn't
kill
even on
me. In
PC
their eyes,
yet.
and mine too, to be honest. I just waltzed into town and started murdering every sheriff I could get my hands on. I'm pretty sure this guy was just a blacksmith. Well, I helped out this woman earlier. At least I'm a little bit more complex. This'll teach you to innocently protect
Seems
your
to have
town
dynamited
against
her
numerous psychopaths who are trying to kill
before
your family for
cutscene.
no discernible reason. Somehow I feel Geralt in The Witcher 3 got away with doing terrible things a little better. I'm of course referring to the moral choice where you free the soul of a monstrous evil tree heart for reasons. Oh, this was definitely the right thing to do. Bye-bye, evil tree spirit horse of death. The level of realism Red Dead 2 is going for in the mission cutscenes is so complex and nuanced that the actual actions outside of these cutscenes makes you come across as an absolute madman. Edgar
Yeah.
Allan Poe gone Vlad the Impaler. Your humbler moments of character, which are extremely touching and well done, are all lost
It's
in a
insane
sea
the
of
amount of
visceral
characters
death.
you
I mean,
kill,
Arthur
like,
comes across as
only
more
on
evil than
main
the monster
missions.
tree heart spirit from earlier. He certainly murders more people. Oh, and speaking of realism...
I honestly don't want games to be more realistic, because reality is boring. If instead of like killing an entire town during that prison break, for example, you had to, if the game was more realistic, you would have to kill, I don't know, 5 people, because no one else would shoot 2 madmen who were escaping prison and shooting everyone in their way. They're just hide around the town. I don't know. You'll run out of people if the game was more realistic. Just by shooting one town, half of the map would be entirely empty. Because I don't know if you say that these were bounty hunters or whatever, or people who would actually benefit in a way from dealing with this.
Imagine growing up in the 80s and watching as gaming evolved from Monkey Island to Tomb Raider, Deus Ex to Bioshock, and then dedicating your entire life to studying and mastering all the new and adaptive 3D rendering tools and techniques. Then, after decades of practice, finally working your way up to the dizzying heights of a programmer at Rockstar.
Man, I gotta get this perfect. Oh shit, I have an idea. If I just aim this up here and bring this
Not
to
balls.
fall down.
Oh.
Okay, alright, now it's coming together. Now it's coming together, alright. I have been working all year, and this is all I have to show for it. You want more? You can't handle more!
Honestly, it feels like my horse shits every 30 seconds. Let's do a little experiment for science. Okay, so we've gathered up 5 horses here, and we're going to watch their asses for 10 minutes. Then we will collate our data at the end and calculate an accurate number of average poops per minute. Go.
Speaking of horses, like, shitting is one thing. Like, they added balls, and then when the game came out, people were like, oh, you can see the balls shrink when you go into snowy areas, cold and all that stuff, and then unshrink when you get warm. Do you care? Like, I played and I didn't care. Most of the horses I had, which is not a lot because I got attached to them and don't want them to die, when I fall off a cliff. Anyway, most of them were female horses anyway, and they have nothing to show for it at all. So I'd like, oh, realistic balls, great. I hope you didn't spend, I don't know, 6 months working on that specific mechanic just to, just for that. I don't know.
With my life.
8. This is what happens when you have too much money. One day I'll make enough
8 times
videos
in
to be able to
10
hire
minutes?
someone to do literal acrobatics in the back of all my videos just to make me look frivolent. 1 million subscribers. Finally.
So guys, we did it. 1 million subscribers. I'd just like to thank myself.
I mean, you do
for
have
being
it
so
now.
brave.
Surely there's a limit on how far you can go with
1.3.
realism. If you introduce pooping, then surely I should be pooping too. Why am I not stopping every
Yeah,
day for a poop
1.13,
myself?
not
Oh god, it's
1.3.
happening! The level of realism in this game, outside of being able to
That
walk
is
through
true,
4
you don't
consecutive bullets in a
shit.
row, includes some of
Your
the most
balls don't
impressive
change.
things I've ever seen in a video game. It's honestly
You can
astonishing
see
the
those.
level of detail put into this game, and it leaves you a little taken aback in a good way. The looting, carrying objects, pushing through the bushes, recipes, skinning. But do we need all of need all
looting.
of this? Does any
Pretty
of
much
this
the
stuff
same
actually make the
animation every
game more
time.
Fun.
Everyone
Does the
keeping
mud
their
leaving an
things in the
exact
same
imprint of
pocket.
everything that passes through it like a beautiful electronic canvas of wonder actually improve the game? I mean, it does bring me immense joy.
Take me!
The happiness I feel dragging a man through the mud and watching him slowly get more and more filthy, leaving a perfect trail of mud behind him, is all too real.
Do it!
Time to clean you off in the river, muddy pup.
Like, this is different. This, like, when the weather changes and there's mud and stuff and you get dirtier and dirtier, people you drag across the street get dirtier and dirtier. That's kind of different type of realism. You kind of, it's more enjoyable. It makes you, I don't know, not the horse balls. It's just a weird thing. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
What the fuck is wrong with me?
I can't decide if having all this detail is actually okay, and let me explain what I mean. We all know deep down gameplay is one of the most important aspects of how fun
Yes.
the game is. Like, why is the hand-to-hand combat in this game so simple? Why is the tracking mechanic of legendary animals literally just pressing a button then following a series of prompts that appear on screen? These are
What do you mean legendary? Any animal.
gameplay elements with comparatively
With
very little
circles out of
creative
them.
thought put into them. This is possibly the most dynamic world in a video game ever made, where animals actually leave physical trails, but the only way to actually track one of them is to be told exactly where to go step by on-screen prompts, yet I can go to the fucking theater! Who prioritized this? Was it you? Well, let's be fair, let's sit down and...
No, let's be fair in that. Can you imagine actually hunting something in the game, like, realistically, where you do have to look for, like, tracks of the animal? Sure, on the snow it's easier to do, and it's just gonna be, like, you can see where they left prints, but if it's on the ground, like, covered by grass, and you have to look extremely close, you can't track shit like that. So they had to add something on top of it that'll make the gameplay easier and more enjoyable, while keeping some level of realism, but like not showing you the way to the animal, like the giant arrow on the screen, but they show the path which they took.
watch this. What is happening to these games? Who would watch this and why? Teams of thousands of people paid presumably hundreds of thousands of pounds over the course of 8 years to animate what can extensively be described as...
Bear was sad because the fish were his friends.
At least the tennis in GTA 5 was a fucking game, bland as a popcorn bagel, but at least you pressed buttons. Improve the hand-to-hand combat engine, implement events with no gameplay.
Can you watch movies in GTA? I don't know.
Create
I
an
don't remember.
innovative animal tracking system, implement events with no... In a game designed by less than 3,000 people, someone would have quite rightly stepped forward at some point and said, wait a second, this is bullshit. Think of the subversive nature of Undertale. Options and events were included...
I mean, I think it's fine. That, and for realism, that's what people use as entertainment back then. Like having very simplistic... I don't know if you can call those movies, but movies, and then you can go and watch theater as well. That adds to whatever realism they were going for.
Simply to mock the player for doing things in the game's context that made absolutely no sense. Shopkeepers quite sensibly being insulted when you try to sell them stuff in their own stores. Maybe in Red Dead 2, the theater doors could have locked and the ticket seller takes off with everyone's cash and no show is actually ever played on screen. Then by the time the player realizes it's too late and he's escaped. We'd quite rightly feel like total morons for trying to see a show in a video game depicting a dramatic recreation of the Wild West.
But that couldn't be done multiple times. One time it happens, that's it. That would be just like a little side quest, or maybe even less than that, when, like, in Red Dead, where there's just a dot on the minimap that just happens. Maybe you can see it again if it repeats itself, because Probably would. That bear looks weird. Anyway.
But no, 50 people at Rockstar all sat around a table and one moron says, let's put shows in the game, and everyone else is too polite to say anything otherwise. Probably because the company was previously headquartered in the UK, where we apologize if someone walks into us.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
I think I'd remove all these bells and whistles
Why
for a decent
not?
tracking system, but I gotta say the best moment this year was hooking up the Pro to a 4K TV and showing all my friends the animations for skinning a duck. Good god, Arthur, this isn't Temple of Doom, it's a mallard, not a fucking banana. And then once he's done with it, Arthur just disposes of his defiled bird. So basically, it's hard for me to decide whether or not I'm really on board for all this realism. It certainly does add a lot
I'm
to
on
my
board for
enjoyment
half of
the
it.
game, so it's hard to argue against
Probably
it.
more
But
than
even the way
half.
Arthur loots bodies and rooms, it looks simple,
Some
but
things
I can
do
only
feel
imagine
unnecessary.
the insane amount of work that went into how seamless picking up objects is, when I'm sure it would have just been perfectly acceptable to do this. While other areas of the actual gameplay are lacking finer details.
You know what? I've had enough of this vest as well.
Actually, speaking of The Witcher 3 again, one of the biggest obstacles in that game was slight falls. In this game, though, it's minor inclines. Fuck me, it's like Arthur has an inner ear infection. What the hell is going on here?
That
this is beyond realism.
was
I mean, I
annoying.
can get up there. I don't want to brag, but I'm a pretty agile guy.
I'm turtling. That's the word for this, right? Turtling.
Even the dirt effects on
I'm
your
not,
face are
but I feel
incredible.
like I
In Red
could.
Dead 1, I would play poker for 20 hours straight while sipping whiskey inside and outside the game like a total badass.
Double down.
But now the mud stays on my face the entire poker game, so I can really get into character. Even the towns feel incredibly real, especially early on when they're filled with buildings with seemingly no use, like the post offices. You run across these all the time. Later on you learn if you talk to this guy inside, you can send mail. But what would I want to send? Oh.
I'm ready. Well, I sent it, but I haven't a fucking clue where it's got.
I mean, you send fish to the guy that asks for fish? Unless there's something else, it's the legendary fish kind of thing. Where the guy actually gives you the map for legendary fish and to how the... doesn't tell you how to catch it. I actually wasted my own time trying to catch them, and then I had to Google how to catch them. Maybe the game tells you somewhere and I missed it, but I don't know. And you mail them. So, like, the game tells you where you send stuff. You can find... Well, you can't find pieces of dinosaur and then send them. You can find locations of pieces of dinosaur and then send a letter with the location to person, and then rocks? Or rocks you give physically? I don't know. I didn't do the collection things. I just did a few.
Khajiit's order has arrived.
I think you can probably tell that overall, I would say the incredible attention to detail in this game does ultimately make the game more fun. Especially when deciding on things like whether or not you should save this guy hanging off a cliff. The game's seamless animations make it so easy for you to get into character. Well, well, well. Looks like you're in a mighty fine bit of trouble. Don't you worry though, I think we can... Oh my god, he's fallen! Benny! No! The most absurd detail is how Arthur has to actually smoke cigarettes in the game when he wants to refill his Deadeye meter. I know we're trying to be realistic here, but the Deadeye is a combat mechanic, so you end up smoking your way through every other gunfight like you've got some sort of deep-rooted nicotine dependence.
I mean, it's the Old West.
I mean, look at this shit.
And you don't have
It's
to
the
do
best
that. You don't
looking
have to
game
use the
ever, okay?
Deadeye
It's
every
beautiful,
time.
It's realistic while still being stylized. It's just how I like it. To show you what I mean, here's my usual graphics montage. You're probably used to this by now.
Almost.
Oh, really? Haven't seen that many videos.
No,
of
no,
yours.
not that fucking song ever again. There we go. That's better. Let's use this one. God's
Braithwaite.
sake, can we get a cleaner in here? Unlike all the brilliant animations and impressive realism we spoke about earlier, I'm completely sure that these graphics do make this game better. You see, ever since the Genesis SNES wars, we knew deep down that graphics didn't actually matter. It was all about the gameplay. But this is now a whole different pile of shit. You see, I enjoy trips to art museums as much as the next person.
Ah, another triumph.
And this game is a living work of art. Sure, the PS4 Pro sounds like a wounded animal in a crashing helicopter when it turns on.
There we go.
But my god, it's trying. Excuse me, sir, I didn't realize
I
this was
think
Fallout
that's fine.
76.
I don't think you
So
can
here's where organic car
avoid
Simulator and
stuff
these start to
clipping through each
disagree.
other in games.
Flared jeans? Are you insane?
Not yet, at
I
least.
don't have a specific problem with the story itself. The writing and voice acting are all incredible. I just find the way it's presented in the gameplay sections is inanely inorganic. Inanely inorganic. Fuck me. You know what's inanely inorganic? That fucking sentence. There's a specific mission where you
True.
are given a treasure map, but rather than work out where the treasure is, the game tells you exactly where to go. It honestly takes complete focus away from the amazing world that you're...
That actually pissed me off a bit, because you find that it's your first... it's probably, when you play for the first time, it's the first treasure map you'll ever find. And I looked at it, okay, I can find this place. I actually remember going past this, okay, and I'll find tree where I went past it somewhere. I tried to remember how the tree looks exactly, so I didn't have to open the backpack up and look at it again. But then I closed the map, and it shows me exactly what it is. But then later in the game, you find actual treasure maps that the game doesn't show you where stuff is, and they look extremely fucking vague, because that map is like, you find it, and it's like somewhere in the area, and you probably came to that place, to that guy who gave you the map voluntarily. You passed the place where it was, possibly. I think that was happened to me, so I remembered where that was. But the other ones aren't. I found my next treasure map I found was in the middle of fucking nowhere in the icy mountains next to a lake. And I was like, oh, I'll look around first. And I found nothing. And then I thought, okay, maybe I'm stupid. I'll Google it. And when I Googled it, it was on the other side of the map. I was like, fuck this. I'm never gonna go treasure map hunting ever again. And unless I want to do the 100% game run, but I wasn't up to it. I didn't care enough at the time. Anyway.
As a result, I literally spend half the game looking here instead of here.
What a lovely day.
I think the inorganic nature of the missions is more prevalent in Red Dead 2 because as a sequel, the game's mechanics are very similar to the first. The gritty western open world, its combat and the Deadeye mechanic felt very fresh in the first game, but it's
Please
also been
remake one for
regurgitated
PC.
here.
Oh my god, Sid, it's a black horse. It's
Please a
you,
remaster.
in horse form. Finally, you can be my horse.
Hair.
No,
Oh, never mind. He's got a white nose. He looks nothing like you. Unless...
don't do it, human.
And if you do feel like going the whole hog and doing absolutely nothing, you can just enter cinematic mode, hold X, and you don't even have to play.
Red Dead Redemption is so fun.
However, where Galloping Car really shines is when the story or gameplay is presented to the player without any prompts or explanation.
One of the
Yes,
gameplay things that was a bit annoying is that you can use your horse, right, to get anywhere on the map. Well, I mean, you can drive from one end of the map to another, from one coast to another. Not a coast. Anyway, from one end to the other end, you can use your horse and you can drive there. Drive your horse. And, but on the other hand, why do that when you can make a camp anywhere you want in the world and just teleport? It'll show you a little cinematic to show you that your character is riding the horse to your destination. But in reality, it's just, that's a gameplay mechanic that, I don't know, I could have lived without. Or at least have one only at the main camp. There it kind of made sense, but then you just spawn a camp, and then you just spawn yourself somewhere else, closer to where you want to be, for any reason.
The best part of the game for me was stumbling across a pig farm in the wilderness and entering without being told to. An entire scene then plays out from this point, and you're never once told what to do by the game. I won't spoil it, but it ends with this scene.
I actually haven't seen this.
Gone die tonight. To me, this proves how much better games can be when the player is able to work through them at their own pace without so much hand-holding. Undertale explicitly makes this point, and you all love that so bloody much. There are also random people scattered throughout the game you are free to meet without prompt, but I found them all to be quite similar. You just walk up to them, they get angry and tell you to leave, then you...
Yeah.
Oh. Oh god. Why do people keep dying around me?
Like, it is weird. Anytime you go to like a camp, you see a campsite going, like the smoke from a fire, but every time it's not. No one is friendly. You just come talk to them. As soon as they see you, before you open your mouth or anything really, before your horse was able to shit itself next to the campsite, they're immediately holding their hands on the pouch of their gun. Pouch? I don't know. On their gun. And it's just, okay. And if you stay there trying to talk it out, they're just gonna pull the gun out and start shooting you. Because games, I guess. Why not be able to talk to them? Ask them, like, can I use your campsite instead of killing them, and possibly not even be able to use their campsite, because some of them I wasn't be able to use. But whatever. What's this tense about?
8. I bought this for a previous video, but it was too big.
Imperfection is what creates perfection. Remember that pretentious scene in Inception where Jack tells Rose her dream form isn't good enough for him because she lacks all the imperfections that make her human? Well, here it is. Wait a minute, am I being pretentious now by trying to legitimize criticisms of a video game by referencing obscure scenes in movies that are in of themselves pretentious? I've fallen into some sort of pretentious inception.
Leo, help me!
Tens, fucking tens. What are you all on, IGN Spain? This is utterly ridiculous. This is kind of where I've been going with this whole review. Red Dead 2 is good, but it ain't fucking perfect. Don't get me wrong, there are games I would give 10s to. FTL, Undertale, Minecraft, Agario. But these games are microcosms. Ooh, la-di-da. This is because they lay out a very specific gameplay style and execute the entire game within this style without any flaws. However, Witcher 3, in my opinion, is a far better game than any of those. It's longer, has more mechanics, is more in-depth, has better visuals, combat, and more detailed leveling up, but it has flaws.
The thing is that the bigger the game is, or like more mechanically complex, the more space or more place there is for the flaws to happen. And flaws are a thing. You can never have like an unbuggy game. You can never have a game that's 100% to a pixel, to a last fucking pixel is just perfectly tailored to you. I think as a human, when you're rating a game on the website, you can give games 10 out of 10. That's totally fine. But if you're a game journalist where you have a scale of 100 to give your thoughts, and if you like give your review, it kind of looks like, let's say I gave a review, but I work for IGN, and it seems like IGN gave it 100. That feels wrong. That feels like it's not objective at all. You just gave a perfect score to a game. It's the same goes, I think, for like 0 out of 10, 1 out of 10, whatever the lowest, or out of 100, whatever the lowest is. It's just one human you can, but if it's like a full-on game journalist kind of thing, when it's your profession to do these things, there'll be so many games that are just perfect and so many games that are flawed, but for some reason that's only the two. Some flawed more than others, but still, it's neither perfect or it's extremely flawed, and it's just fucking why. I don't know.
Middle of the game is about as interesting as manufacturing carpet. It may be my favourite game, but there is no way I could give The Witcher 3 a 10. It does far more than any of those other games, but that leaves more room for mistakes. Sure, by that logic, Beethoven's
that's what I'm
Fifth may be
saying.
more flawed than Megalovania, but I take that risk.
Oh.
There are, of course, hundreds of
Sure,
things I love about
fine.
this game. I love how you keep a
I wanted
diary
to
written in
hear
fucking
more.
cursive. Honestly, Arthur Morgan does not strike me as the literary type.
Today I left my horse on the train tracks. The colours.
To say that Red Dead Redemption 2 is perfect and cannot be improved
It
on
is a bit feels out of
irresponsible.
character.
Let's
But
face it, even Sid can be improved on.
Hair's just get in the way, Sid.
Khajiit's time has come.
all right, I do agree. It's a good review. Sweat Commando 13, cool. It's a good review. What, Frederick from Guilty Gear? And I agree with a lot of points that he made. Just in the beginning, when he was like arguing about some stuff, it felt like a bit too much. Like the game tells you, especially in the beginning, the game will tell you how to do things. And when you are on a mission, the game tells you what to do, and I think it's fine. The game wants to keep you on track. The game wants to give you the narrative experience that developers imagined when they were creating the story itself. So they want you to follow this or follow that or go there and go do that. Well, sometimes, depending on the game, in Red Dead, there are sometimes choices. You can succeed in a thing, you can not succeed in a thing, or maybe kill someone that you were asked not to kill, and sometimes the game will allow it, at least in the side story kind of bounty things, for example. I think it does, right? You can kill people and then bring them in to the sheriff, maybe. I actually never killed my bounties when I played. I was a good boy. Anyway, so I think it's fine. If the game, especially if the game stops telling you how to do things, which I think Red Dead kept telling me how to do some stuff. I don't really remember anymore. Because that stuff kind of annoys, but then you forget about it because it's such a minuscule problem. But if the game tells you like that, it doesn't just shove into like a menu into your face and tells you like, this is to run, this is to jump, this is to climb, this is to swim, I don't know. Like just a list, and then it goes away. And then if you forget something, you go into the menu and then you look something up like that. For example, it told you how to swim, but you haven't swam in the game for 15 years, 15 hours you've played it, and there you are, and you need to neither figure it out or go into the settings and fight it. That'll be more annoying than like when you jump into the water for the first time in games like, oh, you jumped for the first time, this is how you swim, and just somewhere in the corner. I don't think that breaks immersion or anything. I think it's just a little bit of additional maybe hand holding, but not too bad of a hand holding in my opinion. I think it's fine. I think obviously games, I don't think you can. That's about GTA and about Red Dead. There isn't too much shit on the screen. In some games, I don't even mind when there is a lot of stuff on the screen, but those games you can't fault for it. There's like a mini map, maybe the gun you're using and the bullets you have in it. Like a couple of corners I filled and a couple are free. In one of them is free until there's a tutorial or something or a mission objective, whatever it is. It's not the UI or the HUD, I think, more appropriately, is not too much in your face. It is there, but it's there just enough, just a little bit. I think it's fine. But yeah, overall, I'll give, I don't know. Again, going back to like 10 out of 10 or whatever, you can divide how you rank games and then easily come up with an idea and maybe like split stuff up. For like Red Dead, for example, I'll give the story 10 out of 10. I think most of the story, I didn't agree with some characters, like in their decisions, or maybe how the game portrayed my character after I'd done something weird. But overall, the story, the main story, not taking any side quests in, it's 10 out of 10. Open world is probably made 10 out of 10. I don't know. But then we go into maybe shooting and stuff, and maybe I'll give it like an 8 or a 9. And then you give, for different things, you give different score, and then you take the average of it. It's never going to be 10 out of 10. There is no game objectively. You can give it subjectively. Fuck it, who cares? It's your decision. It's whatever. But objectively, if you're going to be as objective as possible, just give a neutral kind of opinion. You can be serious giving stuff 10 out of 10 fully. I don't know. Sure, maybe you can say about like my idea, and I gave the story 10 out of 10, but then maybe there was a moment that annoyed me and I forgot about it, but if I was doing a review, I would remember, and I would, because of that specific moment, I'll give it less, right? Like maybe you will say that I can't give story 10 out of 10, and maybe I'll have to divide story into, I don't know, how voice acting was in the story, how it's written, how it's progressing, maybe the pacing, like divide that, and then you can just keep dividing it until it's all only numbers, until you divide it enough that by the time you're done doing your presentation on how much you're giving Red Dead Redemption 2, you could have beaten it again. I don't know. It's all... everything is subjective. You can be objective in the end, probably. I don't know. But if you try hard enough... I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Good video. I stretched it out accidentally to double its size. I'm sorry about that. But I do hope you enjoyed. I appreciated you being here and thank you for watching. Goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.